Claire already had her hand on the doorknob, ready to jump out onto the porch and yell, "Surprise!" But then, from the passenger side of a sleek sedan, her best friend Lauren stepped out, followed by Claire's tall, athletic husband, Grant. He slammed his door, scanned the empty upstate Lake House Road, and leaned in toward Lauren. She wrapped her arms around his neck. The kiss didn't last long, but there was no hesitation, no accident in it. A dark blonde lock of hair fell over his gray-green eyes. Claire backed away from the window. The crushed ribbon, meant for a gift, remained tightly gripped in her fingers. She had parked her car out of sight around the bend, dragged the bags through the side gate, and put the custom bakery cake in the fridge. Tomorrow was Lauren's 40th birthday. Her friend didn't like loud restaurants, so Claire had planned a weekend getaway at Lauren's lake house. Old photos, favorite pastries, and breakfast on the patio. The birthday girl had told her she would only arrive on Saturday evening. Grant had claimed he had an urgent audit at work, and Claire had left their 10-year-old son, Connor, with her mother. She had foreseen everything except this. Her husband was having an affair with her best friend. Lauren's laugh drifted in from the yard. "Come on in. No one will see us." "What if your neighbor is out in her garden again?" Grant asked. "She went to visit her daughter. I checked." Claire darted toward the dining table, which was covered in garlands and framed photos. It was impossible to hide it all. She slipped into the narrow mudroom pantry and pulled the door shut, leaving a gap the width of a finger. The front door slammed. "What is this?" Lauren's voice grew tense. A pause followed. "Looks like your friend Claire has already been here," Grant said. "No way. She's at the office until tonight. She must have come early to set up and left." Lauren opened the fridge. "The cake is here and her floral serving bowl. She'll be back tomorrow." "Well, she threw you a party. Enjoy it. Don't make a drama out of it." Lauren's heels clicked across the kitchen floor, stopping dangerously close to the pantry. "Maybe she's still here." Claire pressed her hand hard against her mouth. "Her car isn't outside. I checked the street." "Call her," Grant said. The phone in Claire's purse vibrated in the small space. The buzzing sounded deafening. She fumbled for the device and squeezed it with both hands. The kitchen went dead silent. "She's not answering," Lauren said after a few seconds. "Must be busy." Claire flipped the silent switch. The screen lit up with her friend's name, followed by a text. "Where are you?" She couldn't reply. "I don't like this," Lauren said. "You promised you'd talk to her yourself first." "And I will, but you have to help." "I'm already helping more than I should." Grant pulled out a chair. "We have 3 days until Monday. Crane wants his monies. The suppliers have frozen our shipments. If Claire drags her feet, the firm goes under." "What does that have to do with me?" "You're her best friend. She listens to you. Tell her it makes no sense to hold on to that property. Property taxes are going up. The tenants might move out. Tell her to sell while the market is hot." Claire's mouth went bone dry. They were talking about the 2-bedroom Brooklyn condo she had inherited from her grandmother. She rented it out to a young couple and saved the income for Connor's college fund. "She'll agree to invest everything into your company?" Lauren asked. "She will if we pitch it right. We tell her we're buying a house in the suburbs. Spacious big yard, a separate room for the kid. We tell her that after this big contract pays out, we'll buy it outright. No mortgage." "What house?" Grant laughed. "Don't make me spell it out. There is no house. I need the cash to plug the hole and pay Tony Crane at least a fraction of what I owe. We'll run the rest through Elena's accounts. In 6 months, I can let the firm go bankrupt with the debts." Claire slowly sank to a crouch. A floorboard creaked under her shoe. But at that exact moment, the kitchen faucet turned on. "And Claire," Lauren asked, "she'll get a promissory note, all perfectly legal. When the company goes bankrupt, she'll be left with nothing, but she'll finally stop acting like she's the smartest person in the room." The malice in her husband's voice had always been hidden behind jokes and corporate confidence. Now, it was bare. Claire remembered how Grant had asked about the condo's current market value and requested to see the deed. Back then it seemed like casual interest. Now it was part of a calculated hit. "You said that after the sale we'd leave together," Lauren reminded him. "We will." "When?" "When you sort out the firm. You've been saying that for 3 months. A chair scraped against the floor. Now is not the time to argue. I need you to do one thing. Convince Claire not to read the fine print of the contract. She's a senior accountant. How do you expect me to do that? I'll be right there. Connor will start begging for the house. You back me up. She always listens to you. You're the best friend. She'll sign. He was going to use their son. Grant knew how much the boy wanted his own room and a dog. Recently, he had been showing Connor listings of suburban houses with basketball hoops in the driveway. I'm scared, Lauren admitted. A little late for that. What does that mean? You had me give you a copy of her driver's license and passport. You had me find a sample of her signature. Without me, none of this would have worked. You told me the documents were just for a mortgage pre-approval check, and you believed me. Lauren exhaled heavily. What did you do with her signature? Nothing that money can't fix. Answer me. Elena processed a corporate guarantee. The creditor got the paperwork and the firm got the line of credit. Once we closed the debt, the document won't matter to anyone. Claire's hands turned to ice. She pulled out her phone and hit record on the voice memo app, slipping it into her jacket pocket. The screen went dark. Claire didn't sign as a guarantor. Lauren's voice trembled. Keep your voice down. I solved a problem. That's it. What if she finds out? Where do the letters go? To our corporate address. Elena controls the creditor side. As long as payments are being made, nobody will bother Claire. But payments aren't being made. You just said you're out of money, which is why we need her condo. Lauren's voice dropped to a whisper. I didn't agree to leave her with a massive debt. She has a son. You're going to leave a child homeless. Don't play the saint now. You're sleeping with your best friend's husband and helping me take her money. And the kid isn't mine. I never adopted him. Pick a better time to find your conscience. Nausea rose in Claire's throat. She wanted to throw the door open and demand answers, but any noise would alert Grant. He would destroy the documents and contact Elena. Right now, it was more important to get out unnoticed. The mudroom had a second exit, a low door leading to the backyard, but between Claire and the door were boxes of summer gear, a stepladder, and a folding chair. She carefully moved the chair. A metal leg grazed a paint can. It wobbled. But Claire caught it just in time. In the kitchen, the voices stopped. Did you hear that? Lauren asked. Footsteps approached. Claire set the can down, pushed a box aside, and felt for the dead bolt. The metal was rusted. The wood was swollen from the spring rains. Someone is in here, Grant said from the other side of the interior door. The doorknob jiggled. Claire yanked the deadbolt back. It gave way with a sharp click. Grant pulled the door toward himself, but a heavy box of tools held it shut from the inside. Why is it locked? It's never locked, Lauren said. Claire squeezed through the low frame and tumbled into the backyard. Her jacket caught on a nail, tearing near the pocket. Her phone almost slipped out. She pressed it against her ribs with her elbow and shut the door behind her. It was 20 paces to the back gate. Claire ducked and moved quickly along the overgrown blackberry bushes. A loud crash came from the mudroom. Something's blocking the door, Grant yelled. Branches whipped her face and tangled in her hair. The gate was latched shut. Her fingers wouldn't cooperate. The metal kept slipping. Around the corner of the house, the back porch door swung open. Claire, Grant called out. She froze. He couldn't see her through the thick brush. He was probably just guessing, hoping to startle a response out of her. Claire, is that you? Come out. Let's talk reasonably. Lauren said something, but the words were muffled. Finally, the latch lifted. Claire slipped onto the neighboring property and sprinted toward an old abandoned greenhouse. The owners rarely came up here. The grass was knee-high. Beyond a chain-link fence lay the main road. Grant stepped out from behind the house. I know you're here. Claire pressed her back flat against the greenhouse glass. A loose pane rattled slightly. There's nobody there, Lauren said, joining him. You saw for yourself. Her car isn't here. Then who unlocked the back door? It could have been left unlocked from last weekend. I'll check the yard. There was a low spot in the fence near the road. Claire scrambled over the chain link, slicing her palm on the wire. She kicked off her heels and ran barefoot on the asphalt to where she had parked her car past the bend. Once inside with the doors locked, she stopped the recording. It was 11 minutes long. Her screen lit up with missed calls and texts from her husband. "Did you stop by, Lawrence? She found some of your stuff." Claire typed back, hands shaking. "No, I'm at the office." "What stuff?" The reply came instantly. "Must have been mistaken. I'll tell you later." Her engine turned over on the third try. She wanted to call her mother, grab Connor, and never go back. But if she did, Grant would know she had heard everything. She had to act completely normal until she figured out if this corporate guarantee really existed. On the drive back to the city, Claire stopped at a pharmacy, bought bandages, patched her hand, and pulled herself together in the restroom. She picked Connor up from her mother's place that evening. The boy ran into the hallway holding a sketchbook. "Mom, I drew a house." Grant says, "We're going to get one just like it soon." On the page was a colonial house with a green roof. Next to it, Connor had drawn a golden retriever and 3 stick figures holding hands. Claire knelt in front of her son. "It's a beautiful house, and I get the room upstairs. Grant is already looking at listings, but he said you don't want to sell Grandma's apartment." "He told you that?" "Yeah. He asked me to talk you into it." "I did not." Grant's voice echoed from the doorway. He had just walked in. "He just drew a picture." Claire hugged her son tight. "You didn't do anything wrong, sweetie. Are you crying?" "Just got something in my eye." Her mother stepped out of the kitchen, but seeing the child, held her tongue. Grant smelled of peppermint gum and someone else's perfume. Dried light-colored mud, the exact shade of the soil by the lakehouse porch, clung to his dark leather shoes. "How was your day?" he asked, taking off his jacket. "Exhausting. The auditors asked for contracts going back 3 years. I was at the office all day." Claire opened the fridge to avoid looking at his face. "I barely stepped out for lunch. By the way, Lauren found your serving bowl at her place. I dropped the cake and the bowl off yesterday." He walked up behind her and rested his hands on her shoulders. Claire forced every muscle in her body not to flinch. "I have great news," he said softly. "I found a buyer for your Brooklyn condo. They're offering a premium over market value and want to close fast. We've discussed this, Grant. It's my premarital asset. My mom bought it and put it in my name after my first divorce. I don't think she'd be happy. This is a contract that will change our lives. If we sell the condo, we can invest the cash into the firm and then we buy the house. Connor will be thrilled. Just don't think about it too long. Buyers like this don't wait." Grant removed his hands and walked to the bathroom. Claire put her son to bed, waited until her husband was asleep, and sat in the dark kitchen with her laptop open for an hour. She backed up the audio file to a secure encrypted drive, uploaded it to a cloud server, and changed all her passwords. Around midnight, Grant came out for a glass of water. "You're still up finishing a quarterly report. Don't work too hard. We'll need your energy soon." He smiled and went back to the bedroom. Half an hour later, listening to his deep rhythmic breathing, Claire quietly opened the hallway closet and pulled out his leather briefcase. He usually kept it with him, even on weekends, but tonight he'd left it on the bottom shelf. In the first compartment were invoices, receipts, and vendor agreements. In the second, Claire found a sealed envelope with no postage stamp. Printed on the front was her full name, Claire Michelle Vance. She pulled out the letter and turned on her phone's flashlight. It was a formal notice from a commercial lending group, alerting the guarantor of a delinquency. Grant's company had missed 2 payments. If the debt was not settled, the creditor would demand full payment from Claire M. Vance. The amount at the bottom read $800,000. Claire read it twice, then looked toward the bedroom. Behind that wall slept a man who had forged her signature, tied her to nearly $1 million in debt, and had already picked the day he would strip her of her last valuable asset. The conversation at the lake house wasn't preparation for a crime. The crime had already been committed. She took high-resolution photos of the letter, slipped it back into the envelope, and returned it exactly as she found it. Just as she closed the briefcase, the bed creaked. Grant appeared in the hallway barefoot. "Still not in bed? Just finishing my tea." He looked at her mug, then glanced at the closet. For a second, Claire thought he noticed the briefcase had been shifted, but he just poured more water. We'll talk about the condo in the morning. I got the buyer lined up today. I mean, yesterday. Just remembered. When the bedroom door clicked shut, Claire forwarded the photos to a brand new secure email address. Until dawn, she lay perfectly still next to the man who had stolen her identity. Terrified to even breathe, his familiar scent now felt completely alien. At 7:00 a.m., the alarm went off. Grant was the first in the kitchen. Claire made breakfast, avoiding his eyes. "Mom, can I take my drawing to school?" Connor asked. "I want to show Sam our new house." Grant ruffled the boy's hair. "You'll see it in real life soon enough." Claire set a plate down in front of her son. "It's a bit early to tell everyone. But we do have a buyer," Grant added. Connor looked confused. "I thought you said it was a surprise." "I meant yesterday I told you it was a surprise." Grant smoothly pivoted. Connor went quiet. Claire helped him pack his backpack and told him to take the bus straight to Grandma's after school. Once they were alone, Grant named the price $1.5 million. "The buyer is ready to wire the escrow deposit today. I just need your signature." "Have you even shown him the place?" "Lauren gave me a realtor's number. He saw the photos online." "How did he get the property records?" "Title searches are public." "Claire, stop looking for a catch." Claire cleared the coffee cups. "I'm not making $1.5 million decision in 2 hours. Your mother wanted you to be secure. The rental income is pennies compared to what this investment will yield." "That rental income goes into Connor's college fund." "Show me the contract that requires this cash," she demanded. Grant broke eye contact. "We're outfitting a massive new hotel complex." "Where is the budget estimate?" "I'm a senior accountant." "Grant, you want $1.5 million? Walk me through the risk assessment." He violently pushed his chair back. "You turn every family discussion into an audit." "This is my money too. We've been married for 8 years. He stepped into her space. "I need an answer by Monday, and do not ask your mother for advice. She'll just start harping again about how I'm only after your property. Is she wrong?" A flash of caution crossed his face. "You have a sick sense of humor." He grabbed his briefcase and left. Before closing the closet, she heard him check the lock on the inner compartment. He knew exactly what was hidden in there. Claire canceled her morning meetings and called Marcus Hayes. The attorney had successfully represented her firm in a vicious contractor dispute years ago. "I need an urgent consultation," she said. "It's about a corporate guarantee I never signed." Marcus didn't ask questions over the phone. "Come in at 10. Bring copies of everything." His office overlooked the Hudson River, a composed man with silver at his temples. Marcus met Claire at the door and immediately noticed the bandage on her hand. "Tell me everything in chronological order." "We'll do the legal analysis after." She played the audio from the lake house, showed him the photos of the delinquency notice, and explained the affair with Lauren. Marcus listened to the recording without interrupting. "Whose name is on the deed to the condo?" "Mine alone. My mother transferred it to me before Grant and I were married." "Then, it is entirely your separate property. He has no legal right to sell, mortgage, or pledge it. However, he might try to use a forged power of attorney. Today we file a restriction on the title. No transfer or sale can be registered without your physical presence and ID. If the signature on the guarantee is forged, they can still come after me for $800,000. The creditor has the right to make a claim because on paper the document looks valid. The burden of proof is on us to prove forgery. We'll need the original agreement, a forensic handwriting expert, and the notary logs." Marcus zoomed in on the photo of the notice. "I can see the Lentz Lending Group's name. I'll send an official inquiry on your behalf today." "Is the recording enough for the police?" "It's a crucial piece of leverage, but it doesn't prove the whole financial trail. Keep the original unedited audio file safe. Do not trim it." He paused. "Check all your emails, banking apps, and government portals. Force log out on any unrecognized devices. And get your passport, your son's birth certificate, and the original property deed out of your house immediately. I want to take Connor and move in with my mother tonight. If you feel physically threatened, do it. But if you are safe for now, a sudden exit tells Grant you know everything." Evidence could disappear. Don't force a confession yet, and don't try to trap him alone. Has he ever been violent? No, that doesn't rule out intense psychological pressure. Keep your phone on you and let your mother know your location at all times. After the meeting, Claire went to the county clerk to file the title restriction, then rented a safe deposit box at a bank. Her important documents were in a home safe that Grant had the code to, so she planned to retrieve them that evening. On her way to the office, she called her mother. "Can Connor stay with you until Monday?" "Of course. What happened?" "I'll explain in person. Don't call anyone, especially not Grant." At her office, Claire checked her security settings. Under active login, she found an unrecognized MacBook. It had first logged in 3 months ago. She terminated the session, changed her passwords, and enabled two-factor authentication. In the search history, she saw someone had pulled a digital copy of her condo's deed. The date matched exactly with the day Grant first brought up the idea of selling. She screenshotted it and sent it to Marcus. Late that afternoon, Marcus forwarded a reply from the lending group. They required Claire to appear in person to verify her identity before releasing the original loan documents. The appointment was set for the next morning. Just before 5 p.m., her secretary knocked. "A Mr. Tony Crane is here. He says it's regarding your husband." Crane, the name Grant had mentioned at the lake house. "Send him in." A large, broad-shouldered man with a shaved head walked in, taking off his coat and sitting heavily across from her. "Excuse the unannounced visit. Grant stopped returning my calls. Why did you come to me? He claims you're selling your condo to settle his debt with my firm. I am not selling anything." Crane frowned. He showed me the math. $1,500,000 from the sale, most to his lender, $300,000 to me. You invested $300,000 of my money into his company. Grant promised a massive contract for a hotel development. Crane scoffed. "There is no hotel contract. His suppliers are suing him. His crew hasn't been paid in weeks. Why did you back him? He showed me your guarantor agreement. He said you fully supported his business." Claire turned her monitor around to show the photo of the default notice. "Is this the lender you're talking about?" "Yeah. He pulled $800,000 from them. I never signed that." Crane stared at her for a long moment, then pulled out his phone. "Then he's playing us both. I have texts here. Grant swearing his wife signed off on the sale and personally guaranteed the payback. Send those screenshots to my lawyer. And do not tell my husband we spoke. Wasn't planning on it. Now I just need to get my hands on his company ledgers." Claire gave him Marcus's card. "I am not responsible for Grant's debts." "You shouldn't be." He took the cash. Crane paused at the door. "This morning, he asked for an extension until Monday. Swear to me you'd be signing the escrow paperwork tonight." Claire went home early. She opened the safe, pulling out the deed, Connor's birth certificate, and the spare keys to the condo. The 2 copies of passport she usually kept there were missing. Her phone rang. It was Lauren, her tone unnaturally bright. "What time are you coming up tomorrow?" "I found the cake and the decorations. I'll celebrate with you later. Work is a nightmare right now." "Are you mad I came up early? Sorry I ruined the surprise." "It happens. Hey, Grant mentioned he found a buyer for the condo. Honestly, Claire, it sounds like a great deal. His company is about to land a massive order." "How do you know that?" "I overheard him talking. I just want what's best for your family. That's why I'm advising you to invest in a business you don't know anything about. He's your husband. Can't you trust him?" Claire stared at the empty space in her safe. "I'll think about it. Just don't wait too long. Buyer's walk." Lauren was reciting Grant's script verbatim. Claire dropped the documents at the bank and drove to her mother's. Connor was building Legos on the rug. "Are you staying here tonight?" "Not tonight, baby." "Tomorrow," Grant called, her mother said quietly. "Told him not to show the drawing of the house to anyone until the buyer's check clears. Told him not to talk to you about it anymore, that it's adult business." Connor nodded, looking anxiously at his mother. Behind the closed kitchen door, Claire showed her mother the letter and gave a brief summary of the recording. Her mother sank into a chair. "Stay here right now. If I don't go back, Grant will realize I know. He'll destroy his files. What if he realizes you found the envelope? I'll be careful. Mom, you bought that condo for me and Connor. You transferred it before the wedding specifically so no one could touch it. He wants me to sell it voluntarily and hand him the cash. Her mother pulled her into a hug. Don't give him a single thing anymore, not even the benefit of the doubt. Claire returned home around 9 p.m. Grant was waiting at the dining table. A blue folder sat in front of him. Where were you? Dropping off some clothes for Connor. He likes it at Grandma's. Grant, open the folder. Here's the authorization to sell and the promissory note from my firm. Sign it tonight, and the escrow officer starts the paperwork tomorrow. Claire sat across from him. The contract stated she would transfer almost the entire value of the condo to his company as a 3-year loan. There was zero collateral. Her ability to demand early repayment was heavily restricted. Why is this loan unsecured? It's cleaner that way. For who? For our family. There's no payment schedule. Grant snatched the paper. The money stays in the family. Once you transfer it, it belongs to the company. Don't lecture me, Grant. I'm reviewing a contract you want me to sign. He stood up and paced to the window. Crane gave me until Monday. If I don't pay, he files a lawsuit. Suppliers freeze us out. You can save the firm with one stroke of a pen. So, there is no hotel contract. Grant spun around. It'll materialize once we clear the old debts. That's not what you said this morning. I didn't want to stress you with the details. You lied. Claire closed the folder. I need time. We don't have time. Find another way. Grant slammed his hands on the table. A husband's debts can become a wife's problem. Claire, if the company goes under, creditors come after marital assets. It is much cheaper to invest the condo voluntarily than to be bled dry by court orders. The threat was delivered with casual coldness. I am not signing anything tonight. I'll take the file to work and review it. Then the deal stays here. Grant stared at her for a few seconds, then pushed the papers away. Fine, until tomorrow. Claire took the folder to the bedroom. Later, she locked herself in the master bathroom, photographed every single page, and emailed them to Marcus. A text popped up from Lauren. We need to meet without Grant. I'll tell you the truth. A second later, the message was deleted, but Claire had already taken a screenshot. Another text followed. Forget it. I made a mistake. Claire turned off the bathroom light and listened. Someone was standing right outside the door. The handle slowly turned. She barely had time to slide her phone into her robe pocket as Grant pushed the door open. Taking a while, aren't you? She turned on the faucet, washing off a face mask. He looked around, his eyes lingering on the blue folder sitting by the sink. He smirked. I hope you aren't doing due diligence in the middle of the night. Already did. Too many red flags. Well, discuss it in the morning. He closed the door but didn't walk away. His shadow remained under the doorframe for a long time. When his footsteps finally faded, Claire went to bed. Grant was lying there with his eyes closed. He had moved the blue folder to the nightstand on his side. She didn't argue. Marcus already had the copies. Claire barely slept. Lauren's deleted message looped in her head. I'll tell you the truth. Her friend had panicked and backed out, but that first impulse was crucial. The next morning, Grant acted like the tense standoff hadn't happened. He handed her a coffee and slid the folder toward her. Just sign the intent to sell. I haven't even met the buyer. We haven't negotiated the final price. Elena will handle the logistics. Who is Elena? He froze for a fraction of a second. A financial consultant. I've mentioned her. Never heard of her. You forgot. Grant sat down. Claire, we've been married for 8 years. In all that time, I have never asked you for a major bailout. Claire thought about how she had paid his office rent, bought his equipment, and covered his payroll last winter. You want everything I have. The condo has tenants. They need 30 days' notice. They'll get it. I'm not signing anything today. He slowly pushed his coffee cup away. You'll change your mind by tonight. As soon as he left for work, Claire texted Lauren. You wanted to meet yesterday, noon today, the cafe across from your clinic. The reply took 10 minutes. Okay, come alone. Claire forwarded the exchange to Marcus. The lawyer called immediately. Do not promise her immunity and don't threaten her to get documents. Since you are a party to the conversation, New York is a one-party consent state. You can record her. If she tips off Grant, come straight to my office. Lauren was sitting at a corner table. Her blonde hair was pulled back with a cheap clip. Her face looked hollow. A full cup of coffee sat untouched in front of her. You came? Lauren whispered. Start talking. Were you at the lake house yesterday? Claire took off her coat. I was. Lauren buried her face in her hands. So you heard everything. Enough. I saw the back door was open. Then I found a piece of fabric on a nail. It matched your jacket. Why did you text me last night? I wanted to confess. Grant came to my place. He tore through my mudroom, the yard, the neighbor's lot. Then he demanded my laptop. I told him I left it at work. Why did he want it? His emails are on it. Claire placed her phone face down on the table recording. Start from the day this affair began. Lauren took a shaky breath. 3 months ago, he came over to fix my water pump. We had coffee. He started complaining about you. Said you only care about work, that you ignore him, and that you're only staying in the marriage for Connor. I knew it wasn't true, but I let myself believe it. Don't blame your choices on him. I'm not. I betrayed you. No words can fix that. What was the plan? He said he wanted to see if you guys could qualify for a mortgage on a suburban house. He promised he was going to leave you for me and the signature sample. I took a photo of a vendor contract you signed for my clinic. He swore the bank just needed to verify the data. And you wanted to believe that? Yes. When did you find out about the forged corporate guarantee? Claire quoted her own recording. Before yesterday, I thought you were actually going to invest the money voluntarily. You were helping him trick me, helping him wait until he drained me so you two could run off together. Lauren looked down. He promised we'd leave right after the escrow closed. But how could I trust a man who was lying to his wife right in front of me? I don't know what I was thinking. The truth is uglier than whatever excuse you made up. Lauren turned pale but didn't argue. After you left the lake house, I opened my laptop. Grant had used it a week ago and forgot to log out of his email. I found his threads with Elena Davis. She pulled a small flash drive from her purse. I copied the emails and the attachments. Claire didn't touch it. What's on it? The draft of the guarantor agreement, your passport scans, a schematic for funneling the cash through Elena's shell companies, and a message, Grant promising Elena they'd run away together. Claire stared at her former best friend. So, you weren't the only mistress. To him, I was just a lever to use against you. That's exactly what he called me in the email. Lauren pulled out a folded stack of printed papers. In one email, he calls me convenient leverage. In another, he tells Elena not to worry once the cash clears. He's going to accuse me of stealing your identity and forging the documents. He was going to frame you. Yes, you handed him the documents, Lauren. Legally, that makes you an accomplice. I know. I'm ready to answer for what I did. Claire slipped the flash drive into an empty envelope. Do you have the original files? Yes. The laptop is locked in my office cabinet. Don't turn it on and do not give it to Grant. Lauren nodded. Will you ever forgive me? No, but today you can help me stop him. It won't bring our friendship back, and it doesn't erase the last 3 months. I'm not asking you to forget, just I'm sorry. Claire stood up. We're going to my lawyer. Marcus asked Lauren to outline the timeline and clarify exactly how she transmitted the passport copies. Did you prepare this flash drive yourself? He asked. Yes. Did you edit the files? No, just drag and drop. I won't open this on my network. The police cyber unit needs to extract it to maintain the chain of custody. Claire, we have concrete evidence of document forgery and conspiracy to commit wire fraud. We need to go to the police. Lauren let out a sob. They'll arrest me. I can't guarantee outcomes, Marcus said firmly. Transferring someone else's ID will be weighed against your intent. The fact that you are voluntarily surrendering this evidence matters, but it does not erase criminal liability. I'll testify, Lauren said. At the precinct, they were met by Detective Sarah Jenkins from the White Collar Crime Division. Claire filed a formal report, handed over the copy of the default notice, and provided the audio file from the lake house. Where is the original recording device and who has access to it? Detective Jenkins asked. It's on my phone. Copies are backed up. No one else has my passcodes. We'll need to mirror the device. Don't delete anything. Lauren confessed to providing the passport, the signature sample, and finding the emails on her laptop. Do not touch that computer, Jenkins instructed. Do not alert Grant Vance about this investigation. If he demands the laptop, don't argue, and don't put yourself in physical danger. Call me immediately. What happens next? Claire asked. We register the complaint, subpoena the original loan file, the bank transfer logs, and the notary records. The rest depends on what we find on that laptop. I can sleep at my sister's place, Lauren offered. Do that and don't call me unless it's an emergency, Claire said. If Grant asks if we've spoken, figure it out yourself. I'm done teaching you how to lie. Claire checked her phone. 5 missed calls from Grant. Where are you? He texted. At work in meetings. I stopped by. Security said you weren't on the floor. We have 6 floors, Grant. Lauren isn't answering either. Are you congratulating her on her birthday? He went silent for a few minutes. I need to talk to you about the realtor. I'll meet the buyer on Monday. Why wait? We need to lock in the terms. We'll talk tonight. Following Marcus's advice, she didn't go home. She picked up a few things from a department store and went straight to her mother's. She texted Grant that Connor had spiked a fever and she was staying over to help. After dinner, Connor brought out his drawing of the house. It had been torn in half and taped back together. Why did you rip it? Claire asked. Grant called. He said, You don't want to sell the apartment because of me. I told him I didn't want the house anymore. Claire sat on the floor next to him. He had no right to involve you in this. Are you guys getting a divorce because of the apartment? Because he lied. He lied to me too, baby. She pulled him close. But none of this is your fault. I asked you to sell it. You trusted an adult. The responsibility is his. Connor folded the tape drawing into a small square. I just want to live somewhere where nobody forces anybody to do things. We will. Late that night, Marcus called. The lending group had released a copy of the original guarantor contract based on CLA's power of attorney. It has a signature that looks remarkably like yours, Marcus said. Attached is a scan of your passport, and the notary stamp claims you appeared in person. Were you at the office on the date stamped on that document? Claire checked her digital calendar. I was leading the annual budget review. It was a 4-hour meeting and building security has my badge swipes. I'll request the security footage tomorrow morning. You have an ironclad alibi by noon the next day, Tony Crane called. I forwarded your lawyer the contracts. There's also a wire transfer to a shell company, owned by Elena Davis. Grant moved $200,000 to her the second the loan cleared. How do you know that? I kept the bank statement he showed me to prove he was buying construction materials. The memo line says consulting fees. Forward it all to your lawyer. Shortly after, a terrified Lauren showed up at Claire's office. Grant came to the clinic, she gasped. He demanded the laptop. I told him I lost the key to the filing cabinet. Where is the computer? Not there. I handed it over to a police tech this morning. Why did you come here? He followed me. I tried to lose him in traffic, but I think he saw my car pull into your garage. From the reception area, Grant's voice boomed. I need to see Claire now. Lauren backed against the wall. He knows. Claire walked out into the reception area. Grant was leaning over her secretary's desk. When he saw Lauren standing behind Claire, his fake corporate smile vanished. What a surprise, both of you in one place. I am working, Claire said smoothly. What do you want to talk in private? Talk right here. He pulled a preliminary sale agreement from his coat. The buyer is willing to wait until tonight. We meet the escrow officer at 6 p.m. I didn't agree to that. Yesterday you said you were ready to meet. Said Monday after I review the paperwork. Grant's eyes snapped to Lauren. And what are you doing here? My own business. What business? Leave the building before I have you thrown out. Claire stepped forward. Is this how you talk to people after 8 years of marriage? After 8 years, I finally read the fine print on you. Grant sneered, dropping the injured husband act. What exactly did you tell her? Claire's secretary silently hit the panic button under her desk. I told her I read the documents you shoved in my face, Claire said. He took a step toward her. 2 building security guards stepped off the elevator. Mr. Vance, you need to leave the premises. One of them, said. Grant shoved the contract back into his coat. Fine, but you are coming home tonight, Claire. We are married and family matters are handled behind closed doors. If you don't come home, you will regret it. The guard stepped between them. Grant gave Claire a dark, calculating look, trying to gauge exactly how much she knew before turning on his heel and leaving. A minute later, Lauren showed Claire a text she just received from Grant. You told her everything. You're going to take the fall for all of it. A second text followed. I'm getting my money before either of you can stop me. Claire forwarded the screenshots to Marcus and Detective Jenkins. Suddenly, Claire's own phone rang. It was her tenant from the Brooklyn condo. Claire, the young woman, sounded frantic. Your husband is here. He brought a locksmith and is trying to drill the door open. He says he's prepping the unit for an open house today. Claire sprinted for the elevator. Do not open that door. Call 911 and tell building security. I am on my way. Through the phone, she heard the screech of a heavy drill. He's forcing the deadbolt my husband is pushing against the door. The line went dead. Lauren tried to follow her into the elevator, but Claire put a hand up. Stay here. Security won't let him back up. Do not let him corner you alone. Claire dialed Detective Jenkins from her car. The detective told her to dial 911 directly since a break-in was actively occurring, but promised to send a squad car from her precinct as well. When Claire pulled up to the Brooklyn brownstone, an NYPD cruiser was already parked outside. Grant was arguing with an officer on the front stoop. Next to him stood a man in a work jacket holding a tool bag. The building super was holding the front lobby door shut. Seeing Claire, Grant pointed at her. Finally, tell them I have every right to go inside. Claire stopped a few feet away. This property belongs entirely to me. You are not on the deed, you do not reside here, and you do not have permission to access it. We are legally married. That does not give you access to my premarital assets. The locksmith looked at the ground. He told me the tenants lost the keys, he mumbled. Leave, Claire told the locksmith. Give your business card to the officer. They might need a statement on who hired you for an illegal eviction. Grant stepped toward her. Stop putting on a show. I just wanted to appraise the interior before the sale. There is no sale, you're going to regret this. Step back, sir. No threats, the police officer warned. The tenants had come down to the lobby. The heavy door behind them had deep gouges near the lock, the paint stripped away. Claire filed an immediate report for attempted breaking and entering and property damage. The locksmith gave a statement confirming Grant Vance had hired him, claiming his wife had authorized it over the phone. Show us the texts, the officer told Grant. We discussed it verbally. Grant lied. Claire pulled up her digital deed on her phone to prove sole ownership. The police recorded everyone's statements and formally warned Grant that if he approached the property again, he would be arrested for trespassing and harassment. He was the last to leave. Before getting into his car, he turned to Claire. You're going to come begging me to fix this. Claire waited until his car disappeared down the block before going upstairs to comfort her tenants. The young woman was shaking. Her husband was holding a baseball bat. I am so sorry, Claire said. I had no idea he would do this. I'll pay for a brand new reinforced door and cover your rent for the month. She called an emergency locksmith, and a new high-security lock was installed. Only the tenants and Claire had the keys. She drafted an addendum to their lease, explicitly stating that no third party, including her husband, was allowed on the premises without her written consent. That evening, Marcus met Claire at her mother's house. Attempting to break into the apartment shows extreme pressure, but it doesn't legally prove the corporate loan fraud, the lawyer explained. Don't mix the episodes, each needs its own evidence. He panicked because I refused to sell. He's going to move faster now. Claire looked toward the living room where Connor was watching a movie. I can't pretend to be his wife anymore. I need to get my things from the house. Do not go alone. We will file for divorce the moment the criminal charges are secure. The next day, Claire went to the house to pack her clothes and her work laptop. Marks and an off-duty security contractor went with her. Grant wasn't home. In the hallway, a suitcase lay open. Several of Grant's expensive suits were missing from the closet. His desk drawers had been emptied. Claire checked the wall safe. She had already moved the original deeds, but the $2,000 in cash she had saved for Connor's summer camp was gone. On the kitchen counter lay Connor's drawing of the house torn to shreds. "Take photos of everything before you pack," Marcus advised. She documented the mess, packed her clothes, Connor's medicines, and his school books. She left the framed family photos on the walls. They felt like props from a play she hadn't realized she was starring in. On a side table, an old iPad was blinking. Grant had forgotten to log out of his RidShare app. His last completed trip ended at the corporate address of Elena Davis's consulting firm. Claire didn't open the messages. She handed the tablet to Marcus to coordinate with the police. "Are you changing the locks?" the security guard asked. "No point. He still has some stuff here. I'm just never coming back." Waiting for the elevator, Claire saw the neighbor who had greeted them every morning for years. "Are you moving, Claire?" "Yes, for good." Claire looked at her suitcase. "For good," in the car. It was the first time she had said the words out loud without feeling terrified. 8 years of marriage were over. Now she just had to survive the fallout. Her phone vibrated. Grant had texted, "Let's talk tomorrow. I found a way to save everyone." A second text came from Lauren. "He's demanding I bring you up to the lake house. He says he has the final paperwork." Marcus read the texts over her shoulder. "Do not reply to him. Send it to Detective Jenkins." The next morning, Detective Jenkins called Claire and Lauren into the precinct. She didn't reveal what they had found on the laptop, only asked clarifying questions about the condo's value, the forged loan, and Grant's recent texts. Finally, she asked them to wait in the conference room. 2 hours later, they were joined by agents from the Financial Crimes Task Force. They explained that any further interaction with Grant had to be strictly controlled and monitored. They proposed a sting. Claire would message Grant, claiming she had found a cash buyer willing to pay $2 million for the condo, and that she was ready to sign the papers to transfer the profits to him, provided they did it in person. This played perfectly into his greed and his desperation to secure the cash. "Can I stop the meeting if it gets dangerous?" Claire asked. At any second, the lead agent said, "Your safety is the priority." Lauren agreed to act as the intermediary to set the meeting. She was strictly instructed not to ask leading questions or force a confession. That evening, Claire texted her husband, "I'm not selling to your guy. I found a cash buyer for $2 million. I'll give you what you need for the business, but I want to see the loan payoff documents first." The reply was instant. "Good. I knew you'd see reason and do what's right for the family. Where do we meet?" "Lawrence's lake house. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. Have Elena there with the corporate paperwork so we can finalize the transfer." "Done." Before leaving, Claire sat down with Connor. "I'm going to be home late. You stay with Grandma. Is Grant going to be there?" "Probably." Connor put down his markers. "Don't buy the house. I won't, and don't believe him if he says he's doing it for me." Claire kissed her son's forehead. "I verify every single word he says now." Claire arrived at the upstate lake house 20 minutes early. Lauren was already sitting in the kitchen. The torn birthday banner still hung over the window, and a photo of them hugging on a beach in college sat on the counter. "I wanted to clean it up," Lauren said. "Leave it." Plainclothes officers were staged in the woods and parked down the road. Claire had a wire taped to her ribs. She knew the safe word and the protocols. The police hadn't given her the tactical details to keep her reactions natural. She repeated the safe word in her head, though her hands didn't stop shaking until the sun began to set. At exactly 7:00 p.m., Grant's SUV pulled into the driveway. Elena Davis stepped out of the passenger side. She was a striking brunette in a sharp turquoise pantsuit carrying a heavy leather briefcase. "A pleasure to finally meet you, Claire," Elena said smoothly as they walked in. "Grant talks about your family all the time. I'm sure he left out a few details," Claire replied coldly. Grant shot her a warning glare. He spread a loan agreement, a receipt of funds, and a contract addendum on the kitchen island. According to the papers, Claire was voluntarily handing over $1 million in cash to his company, waiving her right to demand early repayment, and agreeing to receive the remainder after the completion of the new hotel project. Where's the collateral? Claire asked. We don't need it, Grant interjected. The money from the condo goes straight into our joint business portfolio. My company is your company. We've been married for 8 years. Stop treating me like a hostile vendor. Elena smiled warmly. Right now, speed is of the essence, Claire. Once we clear the delinquent balance, the creditor drops all claims against you. Claire's expression flattened. What claims? She pulled the folded copy of the default notice from her pocket for the $800,000 corporate guarantee I never signed. Grant snatched the paper, scanned it, and tossed it back. It's a formality. Who cares whose signature is on it? You would have agreed anyway. Lauren's head snapped up. Elena touched Grant's arm. Grant, let's keep it moving. No, let's talk about it. Claire pushed. Are you admitting the document is a forgery? We were out of time. Grant snapped, losing his temper. The firm needed liquidity. I knew you wouldn't abandon your family. You stole my identity and committed federal wire fraud. If you're so confident I'd support you, why did you need my condo? Grant slammed his hand on the counter to clear the old debts, launch the new project, and dig us out of this hole. Stop clinging to technicalities. Once the buyer's wire clears, Elena will route the funds through her LLC to Crane. Why not pay the creditor directly? It's faster for tax purposes. The brunette lied smoothly. And the $200,000 you siphoned off the first loan went to you for speed too? Claire asked. Elena turned stark white. Grant whipped around to face Lauren. You gave her the emails. I gave her what I kept. You stole my proprietary documents. Grant roared. You left them logged in on my laptop. Grant sneered. Perfect. When the federal auditors come knocking, you're the one going down for corporate espionage. You literally emailed Elena saying you were going to frame me for the forgery. Lauren yelled back. I helped you lie to your wife, but you two faked the signature. Elena aggressively zipped her briefcase shut. This meeting is over. Nobody is leaving until we settle the money. Grant barked. Claire didn't flinch. I want to read the cash receipt. Elena reluctantly slid the drafted receipt across the marble island. Claire read it aloud. Funds received for temporary escrow holding. This doesn't say it's a business loan. It doesn't matter, Grant deflected. It matters entirely. With this receipt, you can claim you simply held the money for me, legally stripping me of any right to sue for repayment. Grant's face twisted in rage. Stop stalling. Are you taking the $2 million for the condo and giving it to me or not? And if I refuse, the creditor sues you for the $800,000. They put a lien on the condo, force a sale, and you get absolutely nothing. So either you sign this or you lose it all anyway. So the forged guarantee was always just blackmail. You created a fake debt to force me to hand over my real assets. Claire slowly placed the pen down. I'm not signing anything. Is that why you came here? Grant shouted. You told me you had a buyer. I came here to hear you explain the forged signature. And you did perfectly. I'm giving you a chance to save this family. Your future is in your hands. He grabbed the contract and shoved it at her chest. Claire stepped back, letting the papers scatter across the floor. There is no buyer. I'm not selling the apartment. Elena was frantically gathering her things. I am leaving. You two can hash out your divorce without me. Lauren bent down, picked up a stray piece of paper, and gasped. Claire, look at this. Elena lunged and ripped the paper from her hands. You don't know what you're looking at. I've seen your emails. Lauren shot back. Grant promised to sell Claire's apartment to your fake buyer for half its actual value, and pocket the difference in an offshore account. Grant turned on Lauren, his fists clenched. You gave the laptop to the police, didn't you? Yes, who exactly has it? Grant lunged at his former mistress, but Claire stepped directly between them. Don't touch her. Get out of my way. She set me up. Elena printed that guarantee because she told me to. Prove it, Claire said, staring him dead in the eye. She looked toward the front window. I came and I heard everything I needed to hear. The hidden microphone transmitted the phrase perfectly. Grant didn't understand what she meant, but he grabbed Clara. Malurin shoved him backward into the cabinets. Let her go. He shoved Lauren hard against the refrigerator and grabbed the leather folder off the counter. Elena was desperately trying to tear the offshore agreement into pieces. The front door burst open. Police. Nobody move. Step away from the documents. 5 plainclothes officers flooded the kitchen. 2 tackled Grant against the wall, kicking his legs apart. Another grabbed Elena's wrists, forcing her to drop the shredded paper. The rest of the contracts remained on the floor. "This is a domestic dispute," Grant screamed, his face pressed against the drywall. "My wife agreed to sell our property and now she's having an episode. You can explain that to the judge," the lead agent said, cuffing him. "I didn't sign anything," Claire said, holding her hands up. "He was trying to extort me using a forged loan document," Grant thrashed, trying to kick toward the back door, but an officer slammed him back. Elena demanded a lawyer and immediately invoked her right to remain silent. The officers asked Claire to wait outside while they processed the crime scene. She stood on the porch watching them bag the loan contracts, the extortion demands, and the torn pages Elena had tried to swallow. As Grant was let out in handcuffs, he turned his head toward Claire. "You think you won? You're going to be left with nothing but debts and that kid." Claire didn't say a word. Inside, Lauren slumped into a kitchen chair. A red welt was forming on her cheek where she had hit the fridge. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "For today or for everything?" Claire asked from the doorway. For all of it, Claire walked over, picked up the framed college photo from the counter, and placed it face down in front of Lauren. "You helped stop him today. I'll make sure the prosecutor knows that, but we are not friends anymore." Lauren nodded, tears spilling onto the table. Late that night, Claire returned to her mother's house. Connor ran into the hallway. "Is it over?" She knelt and hugged him tightly. The scary part is her phone rang. It was Marcus. He confirmed Grant and Elena were booked into federal holding, and the prosecutor was reviewing the wiretap and the laptop forensics. Claire walked to the window. 8 years of marriage had ended in the very lake house where she had planned a birthday party. But the plot to leave her bankrupt and homeless had been shattered. Now she just had to let the justice system work. The next morning, Claire was called in for a formal deposition. She arrived with Marcus, though she knew she had to answer the questions herself. Behind a closed door, someone was speaking in a low, panicked voice. Detective Jenkins met her with no small talk. "Walk me through the exact moment you found the default notice." Claire outlined the timeline precisely. The briefcase, the photos, the meetings with Marcus, the bank. The detective asked rapid-fire questions about dates and names, but didn't reveal what Grant had said in lockup. After the interview, Marcus walked Claire to her car. "Now we wait for the forensics," he said. "Do not try to get updates through back channels. The investigation is sealed for a reason, I know, and today we formally file for divorce." Marcus looked at Claire's face, expecting hesitation. He found none. "File it." Grant and Elena were released on bail. At this stage, they weren't considered flight risks. Marcus had warned Claire this would happen and that it didn't mean the case was weak. That evening, Grant called from an unknown number. "Are you happy?" he snarled. "All communication goes through my lawyer. You threw away 8 years in a single day. You threw it away long before that." Lauren gave them the laptop, the emails, everything. "You think that condo is going to save you? When the creditor sues, you'll be the one handing me the keys." Claire hung up and blocked the number. She walked into Connor's room. He was sitting on the floor with his Legos. "Was that Grant?" "Yes. Is he coming back?" "No." Connor was quiet for a moment. "I'm glad." The confession seemed to weigh heavily on him. He looked down, almost ashamed of his own relief. "You are allowed to be angry or miss him or be happy," Claire said softly. "Every feeling is okay. A judge will decide if he goes to jail. We don't have to carry that burden." A week later, the forensic handwriting analysis came back. The signature on the corporate guarantee was definitively not CLA's. The expert noted that the penstrokes were slow and deliberate, mimicking a traced image. The IP logs and security footage proved Claire was in Manhattan during the exact time the notary stamped the paperwork in New Jersey, where Grant and Elena were caught on camera entering the building. The cyber unit recovered the deleted emails. They found threads discussing Claire's stolen social security number, her passport scans, the exact loan amount, and a corrupt notary who was paid to stamp the documents without the guarantor present. Another email chain detailed the plot to sell the Brooklyn condo to Elena's associate at a massive loss, while Grant pocketed a kickback in an offshore account. Claire only learned all this months later when the prosecution unsealed the discovery files. In the meantime, the commercial lending group formally sued Claire for the $800,000. Marcus Counters sued immediately. The judge reviewed the forensic reports, the GPS data, and her employer's security logs. The bank's lawyers tried to argue that Claire benefited from the loan since it went into her husband's business. My client has no ownership stake in Grant Vance's LLC, zero access to the corporate accounts, and received zero financial benefit, Marcus argued in court. The judge declared the guarantor contract completely void. Claire was legally cleared of the debt. The financial liability fell entirely on Grant's bankrupt company and the co-conspirators. When they walked out of the courthouse, Claire stood on the steps breathing in the cold city air. Marcus didn't rush her. "Is the condo safe?" she finally asked. "The title freeze holds. You have the original deed. You never signed the sale authorization. As of today, your property is entirely insulated." She closed her eyes and exhaled a breath she felt she had been holding for a year. "Connor won't lose his home because I was stupidly trusting. You weren't stupid. You were targeted by professional fraudsters. There is a massive difference." The divorce was finalized a few months later. Grant tried to claim half the equity in the Brooklyn condo, arguing he had paid for renovations out of his own pocket. Claire produced bank statements proving her mother had paid the contractors, and Claire had bought the materials. The judge ruled the condo remained her sole separate property. The luxury apartment they had lived in together was entirely leased under Grant's name. They sold their joint SUV and split the cash, and Claire completely cut ties with the expensive rental. They sold their joint SUV and split the cash. Grant's massive business debts were not attached to Claire, as New York law protected her from liabilities incurred through his sole corporate fraud. Marcus had warned her they would need to prove every penny, so Claire had kept every receipt. After the divorce, Grant's defense attorney sent a settlement offer. Grant offered to stop contesting the divorce asset division and let her keep the car money entirely if she agreed to recant her statement about the extortion at the lake house. Marcus read the letter and slid it across his desk. "Your call. But perjury comes with federal prison time. He's offering to let me keep what the judge already gave me," Claire said flatly. She wrote a one-word reply, declined. There were no personal pleas, no memories of their wedding. No apologies. Even facing federal indictment, Grant was just trying to negotiate a plea deal. The scandal reached her office when the FBI subpoenaed her building's security logs. Claire expected whispers and demotions, but her firm's managing partner called her into his office and shut the door. "Your messy divorce is none of my business," he said bluntly. "I only care about one thing. Can you still run the Q3 audit?" "Yes, I can." "Then get back to work. Our security team confirmed you had no access to his fraudulent accounts. That's all the board needs to know." Claire walked out of his office feeling for the first time in a long time that she was being judged on her actual merits, not Grant's lies. Before the criminal trial began, Detective Jenkins invited Claire to review the final case file. Stacks of binders, transcripts, and financial audits covered the table. Among them, Claire saw the reconstructed photo of the paper Elena had tried to shred. It was a side agreement. The fake buyer was supposed to wire $500,000 directly to Grant's Cayman Islands account after closing, so even if I had agreed to sell, I wouldn't have even gotten the fake price he promised, Claire muttered. "The jury will see all of it," Jenkins said. Claire read slowly. The hardest part was reading Grant's text to Lauren about Connor. "Show the kid the house with the pool again," Grant had written. "When the kid whines about it, she breaks faster." Claire closed the binder. "I need a minute." Jenkins nodded and stepped out. Marcus, who had accompanied her, sat quietly, offering no platitudes. A few minutes later, Claire opened the binder and read every last page. It was brutal, but when she finished, she knew no lie could ever blindside her again. There was no custody battle. Grant was not Connor's biological father and had never legally adopted him. But the psychological toll on the boy was heavy. Claire took him to a child psychologist. At first, Connor barely spoke. Eventually, he admitted he felt responsible. "I kept begging Mom to sell the apartment for the house," he cried. "If she had done it, it would have been my fault." The therapist asked him to imagine an adult telling another kid to say those things. Who is responsible for the lie, the kid or the adult? Who made him say it? The adult, Connor whispered. So why are you holding yourself to a different rule? After a few months of therapy, Connor pulled out his sketchbook again. This time, instead of a massive suburban mansion, he drew a normal-sized bedroom with a desk, bookshelves, and a wide window. "Where is this?" Claire asked. "In Grandma's Brooklyn apartment. Can we live there?" The tenants had moved out shortly after the locksmith incident. The break-in had spooked them, and Claire didn't blame them. Once the unit was empty, Claire and Connor moved in. They didn't hire expensive designers. Her mother helped them paint the walls. Connor picked out bright curtains, and Marcus recommended a reliable electrician to fix the old wiring. Marcus never imposed. He didn't drop by unannounced. He only came when invited. One weekend, Claire asked him to come over to help translate some of the final legal jargon from the divorce decree. It ended with him in his shirt sleeves, assembling a massive IKEA bookshelf for Connor's room. "A lawyer who builds furniture should charge double," Claire joked. "I put the back panel on backward. I'll have to give you a discount." Marcus laughed. Connor giggled from the doorway. That sound hadn't echoed in a house of theirs for a very long time. Lauren cooperated fully with the prosecution. The investigation confirmed she had no prior knowledge of the forged guarantee, received no money, and was not present when the loan was notarized. Her actions were a deep personal betrayal, but the district attorney declined to press criminal charges against her. Before leaving the state, Lauren sent Claire a handwritten letter. She had sold the upstate lake house and quit her job at the clinic. She didn't make excuses. "I was jealous of you," she wrote. "I thought you had a perfect family, a secure future, and I had nothing. When Grant told me he was miserable with you, I believed him because I wanted to believe him. By the time I realized the truth, I felt in too deep. Even though I could have stopped it any day." Claire read the letter once, folded it, and put it in a desk drawer. She didn't reply. She wasn't going to force herself to forgive Lauren just for the sake of closure. There was no hatred left, but Lauren was part of a past Claire had no intention of revisiting. Tony Crane handed over all his ledgers to the FBI. His cooperation proved that Grant had explicitly promised to use the proceeds of his wife's stolen condo to pay off illegal debts. Grant's company was forced into Chapter 11 bankruptcy, then liquidated. The assets were auctioned off, and Tony Crane only got pennies on the dollar. "My own fault," Crane told Claire outside the courtroom one day. "I watched him lie to his own wife, and somehow thought he'd deal straight with me." Grant maintained his innocence until the very end. He testified that he was just trying to save his business to provide a better life for his family. Elena blamed Grant, claiming she was just an innocent consultant filing paperwork based on her client's instructions. The prosecution decimated them with their own emails. In one, Grant explicitly detailed how to declare bankruptcy the moment Claire's cash hit the account. In another, Elena negotiated her cut of the offshore kickback. Lauren sat in the back of the courtroom during the trial. She never approached Claire. The verdict came down almost a year after the sting at the lake house. Grant Vance was found guilty of wire fraud, identity theft, and extortion. Elena Davis was convicted of conspiracy and fraud. The judge factored in the massive loan amount, the premeditation, and the psychological abuse of the victim. Both received federal prison sentences. Furthermore, they were ordered to pay full restitution to the commercial lending group. Claire walked out of the courtroom with zero debt, and the deed to her home securely in her name. A local reporter tried to shove a microphone in Claire's face on the courthouse steps, but Marcus smoothly blocked him. "My client has no comment on her personal life." Claire looked up at the stone pillars of the courthouse. "Is it really over?" "There's an appeals window," Marcus replied automatically. But the hardest part is done. You always find a way to keep me from relaxing, Counselor Occupational Hazard. But speaking personally, he smiled. A genuine warm look. Personally, I'd like to take you to dinner. No case files, no depositions, no subpoenas. Claire didn't say yes immediately. She was still relearning the difference between healthy caution and trauma-induced fear. A week later, she met him at a quiet Italian place in the village. Marcus didn't ask about Grant. He didn't try to plan their next 5 years. They talked about her audit projects, Connor's school, and places they wanted to travel. The relationship moved slowly. Marcus never tried to play the role of Connor's new dad. He helped with math homework, took him to a science museum, and always deferred to Claire's parenting boundaries. Connor was the first to notice that his mother was laughing again. In the spring, Claire was offered the position of Chief Financial Officer for a new corporate division. A year ago, she would have turned it down, terrified of upsetting the delicate balance at home. Now, she accepted it on the spot. Her mother practically moved in to help with Connor, and the boy bragged to his entire class about his mom being a boss. They celebrated her promotion on a sunny Sunday afternoon. Her mother, Marcus, and a few close colleagues gathered in the Brooklyn condo. Connor came out of his room, holding a large poster board he had been coloring all weekend. It was a drawing of the Brooklyn brownstone with 3 windows lit up in yellow crayon. Across the top in giant block letters it read, "Our home, where are we hanging it?" Connor asked. "My room." "No, the hallway," Claire said, "so everyone sees it when they walk in." Marcus grabbed a hammer and nails, centering the poster perfectly above the coat rack. Claire stepped back toward the kitchen, watching her son, her mother, her friends. This apartment didn't have a huge backyard, a second floor, or a basketball hoop in the driveway, but no one here demanded she pay for their love with her life savings. When the guests finally left, Marcus helped her load the dishwasher. Connor was already fast asleep. Claire leaned against the counter, looking at Marcus. "I used to think happiness was supposed to look like a magazine spread. The big house, the successful husband, the perfect promises. Now I know it just starts with knowing the person standing behind you isn't holding a knife." Marcus dried his hands, walked over, and took her hand, pulling her into a quiet, grounded embrace. The fear was gone. This was a new life, and she had finally learned exactly how to protect.